It's been a while since Nintendo released a product that doubled as a potential retirement vehicle. But here we are. Are we all going to become millionaires? Let's find out today on It's All Dug in Games. So this past week, Nintendo announced the release of the Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. It's going to come out in mid-July. There's going to be a basic release of the game itself, which is a collection of mini-games based on 13 classic NES titles. It harkens me back to the NES Remix that came out during the Wii U life cycle. And to be frank, I'm kind of excited at this announcement. The idea sounds fantastic. If you have a subscription to the Nintendo Online service, this game also has leaderboards, so you can find out if you're the best in the world at finishing stage 1-1 of Super Mario Brothers or something to that regard. So a lot of fun is to be had. However, they're not just making the game itself. Nintendo being Nintendo and being fiercely aware of the power of the collectibles market and the fact that they can effectively print money at will, they've got a deluxe version of this, which comes in a giant box that includes some art cards, some pins, and a replica of the famed Nintendo World Championships Gold cartridge. Now, it's not a playable cartridge. It's just a piece of plastic that looks like it. But nonetheless, the imagery that evokes to people my age is undeniable. So as much as I feel a little strange, I couldn't help myself. I plucked down the $60 for a pre-order. And yes, when it shows up, I'll have to really fight with myself to decide whether to actually open the damn thing or to keep it sealed. And that's, I think, a lot of people could be struggling with, because the evoking of Nintendo World Championships is an iconic thing for everyone my age. A lot of us went to the Nintendo World Championships event in 1990. 29 cities hosted these contests. I attended the one in Hartford, Connecticut, in the basement of the Hartford Civic Center. So anyone that grew up in Connecticut or around that area and knows about that building knows it wasn't exactly 5-star accommodations in there, but it didn't matter. A cold, moldy basement would suffice as we gathered around and tried desperately to win the Nintendo World Championships and the fame and glory that would follow. So when I see this, I am reminded of those memories, as a lot of people, again, who are Nintendo fans of my age group do. Now, I also realize that this being the world we live in, these games aren't just games, but many consider them a financial instrument. And so in line with what we've seen in the past with perhaps the NES Classics and the Super Nintendo Classics, there's people buying dozens of them, hoarding them, hoping that they can scalp them in the short term and hold them in the long term and perhaps use them as a retirement plan, especially because of the presence of the Gold Nintendo World Championships replica card. And that's the key word, replica. What people will need to understand, and I imagine some people just won't get it, is that the reason why the original Gold Nintendo World Championship card is so dang valuable is because there were only 16 ever made, and we don't even know where all 16 of them are. They're probably going to make at least 20 million of these, so it's a little bit of a supply and demand, but again, the imagery is what will sort of cause people to turn off the common sense portion of their brain. I've noticed that while they did a pre-order that went up, I believe it was last Wednesday, it came and went pretty quickly at GameStop and Best Buy. But Nintendo then, through the stores, reopened the pre-orders, and as of the time I'm recording this on Sunday afternoon, you can go to Best Buy, you can go to Target, you can go to GameStop, it doesn't matter. You can get as many as you want for $60 a pop. So I think that in this case, everyone that really has a hankering to get themselves a Nintendo World Championships NES Edition Deluxe is going to get one at retail price. I realize that some people are going to buy a ton of them anyway, just because they're convinced that they're going to be a huge value, a valuable trinket in the future. Well, I'll remind you that while they did make 10 million NES and SNES classics, the price of one today on the open market is barely more than double the price it came out at retail, pushing, let's see, 7 or 8 years ago now. And that might not even beat the rate of inflation over all these years, much less the costs of actually holding these things, the cost of of having your money tied up, and of course the actual ultimate cost of selling being the seller's fees, and I'm assuming that you're of course an upstanding citizen that pays taxes on those gains. So yeah, I don't think that this is going to be like a typical collectible rush where everyone has success looking at this as a financial instrument. It's just a cool collectible. And to that end, you know what? I think this video has been very therapeutic because now I'm not on the fence anymore. I can't wait for this item to show up at my doorstep a day or two after July 18. Probably 2 because it was too cheap to get the 1-day shipping on that. But anyhow, you know what? It's gonna arrive at the door and it's gonna be Christmas in July for me. I'm gonna open that cellophane with glee. Maybe I'll do it on the stream too. Oh, that'd be very triggering for some folks who like collectibles. But I'm gonna tear that thing apart. I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna look at each of the cards and I'm going to make sure I have Kentucky Fried Chicken before I do, so I get chicken grease all over each of the cards. I'm going to take the cartridge. I'm going to, oh, hold on. Did I mention I'm allergic to cornmeal? I'm going to sneeze all over the replica NES cart live on stream, and then I'm going to put it back in the box. I'm going to put it up on my shelf and say, folks, if you would like a one-of-a-kind edition, it's all Duggan Games, lightly sneezed NES Deluxe. It's $367. No low balls. I know what I got.